Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. Protesters have been turning out in cities around the world on Thursday, including all across Europe, to show solidarity with Ukraine. In Berlin, several hundred people rallied at the Brandenburg Gate, which has been lit up in the blue and yellow colors of the Ukrainian flag. In Paris, hundreds gathered outside the Russian embassy, chanting "Stop Putin, stop the war," while carrying place cards with slogans declaring "No war." Around 150 people demonstrated outside the Russian embassy in Stockholm, waving the Ukrainian flag while calling for an end to Russian aggression. While smaller in number, similar protests were seen outside Europe and in Beirut on Thursday. Dozens of Lebanese and Ukrainian citizens gathered outside the Russian embassy in Lebanon's capital. While protests were different in size across the different countries, the message was the same, calling for Russia to halt attacks against Ukraine and for peace to be achieved again. Police clashed with protesters in Nepal on Thursday, who are opposed to the $500 million in American aid that critics say undermines the sovereignty of the nation. The protest came as the Millennium Challenge Corporation, a U.S. government aid agency, agreed in 2017 to provide financial aid by way of a grant to fund an electricity transmission line and road improvement project. While the money does not need to be repaid, and Washington stressed it comes without conditions, opponents are wary of American influence in the region, stressing that the aid would undermine Nepal's laws and sovereignty, as it would not have sufficient oversight over the project. Major political parties in Nepal have also been divided over whether to accept the U.S. grant, which has yet to be ratified by Parliament. Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba on Thursday reported its slowest quarterly revenue growth since going public in 2014, after it saw a drop in sales at its core business segment amid intensifying competition. Alibaba says its revenue rose about 10% in October to December 2021 to $38.3 billion, marking the first time ever that its quarterly sales growth fell below 20%. Alibaba has been facing growing pressure from rivals like ByteDance-owned Douyin and Kuaishou, which have capitalized on the rising trend of live streaming e-commerce. The company also saw a major decline in sales during China's annual Singles' Day promotional event last November, having recorded gross merchandise value growth of 8.5%, a record low figure. Experts say a slowing Chinese economy has also taken a toll on the company, as consumers have been cutting back on discretionary spending. The famous orchid show is back in bloom at the New York Botanical Gardens Conservatory after it was scrapped last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Taking center stage at the show was Jeff Leatham's Kaleidoscope. Using faceted sculptures, the piece resembles looking through a kaleidoscope, with orchids as the centerpiece. The orchid is one of the largest known flowering plants, with over 30,000 naturally occurring species and over 150,000 human-made hybrids. 이승재, Arirang News.